Hello and welcome to this month's astrological forecast. Can you believe we're nearly at the end of 2022? And I know many people are freaking out about one meal they have to cook on the 25th of December, but there's actually a lot happening before that astrologically. And today we're going to explore that and which crystals and essential oils you can lean into to support you in that. So what is the first thing that will be happening this month? Well, on the 4th of December, we have Neptune going direct, coming out of its retrograde motion. That will mean that the only planet still in retrograde will be Uranus, which is shaking things and changing things about, and Mars, which is about our motivations and our passions. We talked a little bit about that last month. So you will find overall, as we start to go through the next few months, things should start to flow a little bit more. It's more about action and putting our lessons into action rather than being in a state of contemplation. So let's review what Neptune retrograde actually means. Well, Neptune is the planet of art, of beauty, of inspiration. And when it goes into retrograde, it's almost as though the rose-colored glasses come off and we start to get a bit of a reality check. It's kind of an interesting type of retrograde. What you should find is after having the reality check of the last few months, now that Neptune will go direct, life will seem a bit more beautiful, a bit more ease, a bit more inspirational, a bit more love-filled in that type of way. So things should cruise a little bit easier. You will find that when a planet goes into retrograde and when it comes out is when the harshest lessons seem to arise. So you may get around the 4th of December some harsh reality checks just to kind of slap you in the face and go, hey, pay attention to this, stop kidding yourself and letting people get away with things that they should not be getting away with, or you allowing things to happen in your life that you shouldn't be allowing to happen to your life. To bring that Neptunian energy around, work with beautiful aquamarine. Aquamarine is obviously aquatic, a water kind of energy, as is Neptune, and it helps to bring that flow. Aquamarine is also a really great crystal for helping to cleanse away unwanted things on all levels. I use it when I start to get allergies or hay fever, but I also use it when there's emotions that I want to wash away, or thoughts that I want to wash away, or anything in that kind of realm. Remember that aquamarine is the favorite crystal of the merfolk, of the mermaids and the mermen. And so they are the epitome of beauty and inspiration. And so by working with aquamarine, we flood that beauty back into our lives. Pair that with the essential oil of Rosalina. Rosalina is part of the Melaleuca family, a native plant that's called swamp paperbark that's found here in Australia. Not that I'm in Australia at the moment, I'm in Bahrain, but Australia is still my home. This, because it grows near the water and it has that cleansing energy, is really great around this time to help cleanse away any kind of confusion. And actually, Rosalina helps us to realize what we need to change in our lives. So it's a really great one to work with as Neptune goes direct to go, okay, I've had my reality check from the retrograde period. Now, what do I need to change in that way? So around the 4th, that's going to be a really great time to bring in that beauty of Neptune going direct again. The following significant event will be on the 8th, and that is our full moon in Gemini. Now, if you've been watching a few of my videos now, or some of my other stuff that I do on social media, you would have realized that each full moon happens in a different zodiac sign, and if each zodiac sign governs a different aspect of our lives. What is Gemini about? It's about the mind. So that's to do with our mental health, our intellect, our learning and our education, and also just our thoughts as well. When it comes to a full moon, I like to work with clear or white crystals because that's where you get some really high vibration ones. We know that obviously the full moon is the peak spiritual energy of the lunar cycle. So the myth behind the Gemini constellation is about Castor and Pollux in Greek mythology. There are two crystals, Petalite, which is also known as Castorite, and Pollucite. Castorite, Pollucite, Castor and Pollux. So these work really well around that Gemini energy, and I love to reach for both of them around the full moon. Now, the interesting thing is they actually bring in opposing energies. First of all, Pollucite. Pollucite is one of my favorite crystals, if not the most potent, for cleansing away unwanted things in our life on all those different levels as well. And then we bring in Petalite, which is basically enshrouds you in this white bubble of light. So there is this real kind of yin-yang balance of out with the old, in with the new when working with these. Now I want you to think about your mental state. We know that our thoughts and our perception of the world has a big creation in our experience. What thoughts, what beliefs, what attitudes are no longer serving you? Around the full moon, work with Pollucite to let them go. Then think about what would bring more light, what would bring more love, what would bring more laughter into your life, and use Petalite to draw that in. So on the full moon, you may want to sit with Pollucite for a few minutes and think about what you're banishing, and then bring Petalite and continue to wear that and work with it on the full moon to bring in that white light and those more positive and beneficial attitudes and thoughts. This is also a great time to think about, okay, would I like to study something next year? To apply for that, to visualize yourself doing that. And now that may be a formal study, or it might just be a short course, or just dedicating to buy a few books and become more learned at that. Whatever that may be. It may just be making some decisions and a pact with the universe to do things that are better for your mental health as well. The essential oil that works really well with Pollucite and Petalite is lemongrass. Now, this is an essential oil gifted to us from a grass, a long grass that looks like a blade. And those blades obviously help to cut away different things. And lemongrass is a great detoxifying oil, again, on many, many levels. As it cleanses away that which doesn't serve us, it actually helps to bring us greater clarity. And so working with lemongrass around that full moon, along with Petalite and Pollucite, would be a really powerful combination for shifting our mental perspective and hoping to bring more positive attitudes and beliefs and thought patterns into our life. And when we change your mind, you'll change your life. Now, after the 8th of the full moon, you'll find that there's quite a bit of a break until we get to the 21st. The 21st is the solstice. Now, this depends which hemisphere you're in. Let's talk about the Northern Hemisphere. For the Northern Hemisphere, this will be when the northern pole is tilted furthest away from the sun. This is where many of you in the north will be experiencing the cold weather, the short days, and so on. This is the time for introspection. When we look at everything in nature, whether it be the plants and the trees or the animals, are they out there being active? Are they out doing everything? No. Often in winter, we don't feel like we want to do much either. But sometimes as humans, we're the only ones who buck against nature and keep on going and going and going. As much as you can around the winter solstice, which is also known as Yule, this is a time of introspection. It's a time to work with the crown chakra and reconnect with our spirituality, to reevaluate what we're doing with our lives and to remember the bigger picture of our lives. It's so easy when we have so much in our lives demanding for our attention and our time and our energy that we can get distracted of what's the bigger picture. We lose track of our time and lose track of our lives. And around the winter solstice, we sit there and we contemplate, hold on, am I in alignment? Are my sails pointed in the right direction? Am I sailing in the right direction that I want to fulfill my greater purpose? So I love to work with different violet crystals around this time, and I feel after 2022 having so many different challenges on a global scale that affects us all personally, it's time to get back to basics. So the crystal I've chosen for Yule, for the Northern Hemisphere, is just good old Amethyst. It's a nice, peaceful crystal, and it's also a crystal renowned for moderation. It's been used in the past, especially when drinking alcohol. People would drink out of amethyst goblets or wear amethyst jewelry so that they didn't get too drunk. Amethyst teaches us that when we can moderate things, that's how we keep our balance. And so at this time, it's not about cutting out everything and bringing in all the good stuff and making these dramatic changes. You may just find that I just need to come back into center. I'm allowed to misbehave occasionally. I'm allowed to do something that may not be best for me, but in moderation. What do I want to experience in life? And do I want to have that whole buffet? And that will mean that you're having that pendulum swing of experiences. Amethyst will bring that peace and that moderation to keep you in that centered base. With amethyst, we bring in lavender. Lavender, of course, also works with the crown chakra, and it's a beautiful one for helping us to be honest with ourselves. What needs to go in my life in order to make room for the newness in my life? A really beautiful one. Now, if you search my name and Yule in YouTube, you'll find another video that goes all through a whole range of different ways to celebrate the winter solstice. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, of course, your experience is the warm weather, the long days, and it's a very social time. This is the summer solstice, also sometimes referred to as Letha. This I find is a great time to work with the solar plexus chakra. As the sun shines, so should you be out there, socializing, networking, building and expanding and engaging your personal power and your courage to get out there and feel good as you create an abundant life, and that doesn't just mean abundance as in money, it means abundant experiences, abundance in friends. All those different aspects can be really quite powerful to focus on around the summer solstice. Of course, again, I have a YouTube video that goes through the summer solstice. Check that out for more tips. But the crystal that I'm recommending is good old citrine. Again, it's a crystal of confidence, it's a crystal of courage, it's a crystal of happiness, and a crystal of self-esteem. So a really nice one to kind of work with so that you get out there. And remember the solar plexus chakra, it's like your inner sun, shining out bright and sunny. The essential oil that I'm pairing with that is bergamot. Bergamot, again, is an oil of abundance. It's an oil of courage. It's an oil of self-esteem and self-worth. So working with these two together can be really powerful for those in the Southern Hemisphere around that summer solstice of the 21st of December. Now the following day, we have something else coming out of retrograde. We have good old Chiron. Now Chiron retrograde is very much about when it's in retrograde, we realize our core hurts. And it is really worth jumping on different websites and finding what sign Chiron was in when you were born to find out where your core hurt is. To give you an example, my Chiron is in Taurus. So money issues and challenges and worry about money always seems to kind of, it's like my Achilles heel. It'll bother me at different times, especially during a Chiron retrograde. When Chiron goes direct, hopefully we've learned some lessons during that retrograde, and we can start to apply those new lessons as well. At this time, really lean into Charoite. Charoite is a violet crystal that really helps you to get your direction on where you're heading with life. Once we know what's holding us back and we can understand it, those shackles are released and we start to go forward. At this time, also lean into Yarrow essential oil. Yarrow has a strong connection to Chiron, especially in the mythology of Chiron, and Yarrow is both replenishing and detoxifying or cleansing or purging is a really powerful word for Yarrow. It very much is aligned with Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael helps us cut away our demons, and not necessarily haunted little things sitting under our bed, but those demons and fears that hold us back. Yarrow is really powerful at that time for helping to clear that away. So around the 22nd, you may find some of your demons come to haunt you. Lean into your Charoite and also lean in to your Yarrow essential oil. Now, we then have on the 23rd, so there's a lot happening, 21, 22, 23, our new moon. The new moon is in Capricorn. Now Capricorn is the area of life, it's your work life, it's your profession, it's your occupation, your job, your employment, but also it can be about your legacy. It's how the public, those that don't know you intimately, but those in the wider world know you. For example, you are seeing my Capricorn aspect in this video. You may not spend time with me in my home and know how I am in a foul mood and when I'm good and what makes me happy and sad and all those different things. You're seeing that public persona. We all have that public persona in some way, just in the way of the people who know you at work. So when we have that new moon in Capricorn, this is a really great time to contemplate, where am I going? Am I enjoying my job? This is a great new moon to kind of think, maybe I need a new job. Interestingly, a lot of people change jobs because the new moon in Capricorn will always be around this time of year, that people change jobs in the new year. Maybe that's initiated by those contemplations of the new moon in the Capricorn sign. So here, think about, am I achieving what I want to achieve? Am I leaving my legacy? Will I be remembered by the world for what I've contributed? And am I contributing the most I can contribute in this way? This is a really great time to lean into Arfvedsonite. Arfvedsonite. And again, there's a YouTube video that explores this. Arfvedsonite is protective. It helps us realign us with what we're focusing on, and it actually helps to shift our mindset to make sure that we are focusing positively and we're seeing the opportunities in our life and the blessings we can bring into other people's lives. Now with that, bring in Clove. Clove is a unique essential oil because it comes from a flower. And we get lots of essential oils from a flower, but it's the only one we get from a flower bud. I don't know of any others, and there may be some rarer ones, but none that I've actually worked with personally. Clove is known where it grows natively as the flower of the gods. It helps us to become like the gods. How does clove do that? Clove is very much an oil that helps us to set boundaries, to get really clear on what we're going to allow in our lives and what we're not going to allow in our lives. And so it's a really great one. It's associated with Capricorn energy as well, of getting clear on focusing and making sure that you are contributing something significant to the world, that you're leaving this world a little bit better, a little bit happier, and a little bit more love-filled because you share your passions with the world. So during this new moon time, new moons don't require large amounts of work. Sit outside in the darkness once the sun sets, inhale clove essential oil, hold Arfvedsonite and think, how do I need to change the impact that I'm making out in the world? Our final event happens on the 29th. It's a retrograde. It's Mercury retrograde. And remember, Mercury retrogrades are only for about 3 weeks' time. This one is also in the sign of Capricorn. So what you may find is that every Mercury retrograde will bring communication issues, electronic issues, timing issues, so short trips like getting to work or getting to a meeting or something like that can be delayed, and our logical mind's not as clear, but our intuition actually gets better around this time. Each sign, when a Mercury retrograde happens, it'll be in one of the 12 signs of the zodiac, and that will flavour the Mercury retrograde. This one being in Capricorn will be around work. There may be some communication issues around work. You may find it a bit hard to concentrate at work. The electronics at work may be a problem, or you may have problems getting to work on time. So it may be worth leaving a little bit earlier. It's also to do with property matters. This is not a good time to sign agreements with, for housing or leasing or anything like that as well. It's actually probably a better time to just be really careful about anything to do with business around this Mercury retrograde. It's recommended sometimes that this is best to actually stay home and do some recreational things with family. But obviously we can't always, there may be things that you've already got in place. Maybe you're buying a house in the middle of this Mercury retrograde. When we know that it's raining, we take an umbrella. When you know that there's a Mercury retrograde, just be extra careful. Read contracts a little bit more carefully. Get someone else to do it. If you can delay it, do that as well. So, because Capricorn is very much about a commitment and that kind of focus on that job and getting that job done, blue sapphire is going to be really great. Blue sapphire is a stone of commitment. That's why it's used a lot in engagement rings. But remember I said before that the intuition is enhanced. One thing people forget about blue sapphire is not only does it help to bring in messages, but it helps us to understand them. And a lot of people forget about that aspect of this stone, is that we have these messages or these visions or these dreams. We're like, I don't know what that means. Working with sapphire is one of the best for helping us do that. They've done that since the times of the Oracle of Delphi. So that's a really great one to work with. Because we're still focusing on being very clear and not getting distracted or getting disheveled, this is where Arborvitae, the big cypress tree that is found in North America, is really great. The oil in this tree is so thick that no insects bore into it. And when it falls over to die, it takes ages to decompose because the oil stops mold and other things growing upon it. When we lean into this oil, it helps us to stay focused as well. And not everyone's going to see this video, and not everyone's going to know when it's Mercury retrograde, and not everyone's going to be prepared for those energy shifts. Everyone goes a little bit crazy, a little bit, wacky during a Mercury retrograde. But if you work with Arborvitae, and one of my favorite ways is just put a drop in my belly button at the start of the day, but you can also diffuse it and anoint yourself with it as well. This will help to keep you grounded and focused during this time so that you can be more considerate, more caring when others are struggling during this Mercury retrograde. So that is a summary of what is happening for this next month in December. Hopefully that's given you an insight of the energies that are happening and also some crystals and oils that you can lean in to support you during this time. If you follow me on Instagram or my podcast or my newsletter or Facebook, there's going to be ongoing posts throughout the month to give you extra guidance as well. And you'll also find a summary of this in the description below. So enjoy the final month of this year. Thank you for your support and watching my YouTube videos, and I'll be back before January starts to let you know what we can expect in the first month of the brand new year astrologically. I'm Adam Barralet. Blessed be.